Perfect. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, but that's exactly what I wanted to hear. That is, what are some of the tools that you've been playing around with? Because we're keen to see what the industry uses. So it's not just what you use, it's even anything that you may have seen others use that is growing that students would
Okay.
be interested in.
Okay. Yeah. So what I did first is I was just going through the list of software or applications at least that I have in my laptop regarding data science at least. So to my surprise, I got to know that I'm only using currently Python and with that too with Jupyter Notebook or at max with VS Code
Hmm.
predominantly. So if I do any ad hoc analysis, I'm using Jupyter Notebook. And but I see a lot of people said Jupyter Lab is much better. I think you have a you have a view to look at the data frames and all, which you don't have that much in Jupyter Notebook. But I got used to Jupyter Notebook, so I'm still continuing with that. And apart from that, for any development activity, either it is web development or any kind of app that I'm building, I use VS Code a lot these days. So these are the two tools that I'm primarily using as of now. And apart from this, what I saw people using or convenient while using it whenever I go for trainings, both in corporates as well as in a lot of educational institutes as well. I feel Tableau, a lot of people are convenient to create dashboards very quickly. So that
Hmm.
one that I saw. I had very few specific packages in Python I thought might be helpful for others, especially while they are learning. At least it was very helpful for me, at least. One was I use a application or package called Streamlit.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
create a lot of small applications, especially I created mainly for my, I generate certain videos with some interactions in it. So
Hmm.
I primarily use that. So whenever I have very small POC and very quickly want to show it to any client or any students for that matter as a demo, I quickly run it in Streamlit. Also, I got to know that there is one more package called uh, uh, Radio. I remember. So Gradio. So it
Got
is
you.
primarily used to showcase your machine learning models very easily.
I see.
So
So
that
you,
is something that I've seen people in industry also now started using it, and I think has a very good like handshake with the machine learning libraries that we have, like scikit-learn or other tools. So that I've seen people using a lot. Gradio, I believe so. I have to cross check once. That is one. And Streamlit. These are the things that I saw that I'm primarily using. I don't have any other tools much.
no, no, that's a great starting point. Gradio was not on my radar for some time now. Curious about what Visual Studio Code extensions do you use?
Earlier for my IoT application, I was trying to use a few on the Docker side. I'm not able to name them properly, but yeah, I think one on Docker, like you can invoke the application within the Docker itself
I
from
see.
Visual Studio, and also if you want to connect to the remote machines as well, you will able to do it through Docker itself. So I was trying. So I had very little experience on that. Mostly I develop it locally, but I've seen at least my colleague using it for some time. So
I
he
guess
helped me to set it up in my VS Code, and he said you better develop everything within the meaning you run the code, develop something, and let it spin up the app within a Docker, and then you test it. That will be much more easier, so you don't have any dependency specific to your laptop or something.
got you.
And then I
And
think for code like pretty coding and all, I think the which look and feel, I think I had few, but I do not remember the names properly.
got you. And on Jupyter Notebook itself, what are the libraries you use most often?
Mine, I mostly use pandas a lot, and scikit-learn I was using a lot. And then these days I started meaning I think a few years back I started with the keras a lot.
Hmm.
Now I'm looking a little bit on pytorch as well. And then of course normal os libraries, and then date time, all this I use.
Got you. What about for data engineering or just data transformation, connecting to databases? How often is that something that comes your way?
So mostly, so I have two setups. One, so if it is a structural data, let's say a normal rows and column, I was using MySQL Workbench predominantly, and I also use Pandas read underscore SQL a lot. So and also along with SQL Alchemy if I want to avoid any SQL injection. But mostly it was through Pandas read underscore SQL and to underscore SQL and all those insert functions.
Understood. And what about from the students that you teach? Are there requests that come to you very often that aren't in this list of tools, things that they see are popular that they want you to cover or are interested in?
Uh, People usually specific tools they don't ask, but what they ask a lot is like, can you take up a lot of data sets and then play around with that? Is the most
Ah,
lot of requests that I keep getting in, and what they also ask me is like they want to start from a very raw data which is not clean. And they want to see that process of cleaning and then transforming it to whatever machine learning algorithm that they are using, because what happens is most of these institutions as well as in a lot of corporate trainings either the trainers or the institutions come up with a ready-made data set wherein these are the columns that goes for input and these are the columns that goes for output, so they just directly plug in and then they don't do many data transformations or they don't discover anything from the data. So that journey, a lot of students were asking for, can you like elaborate with multiple different data sets?
understood. Fair enough. That's interesting. And are there any tools that you feel are overhyped?
There are a lot of packages which tells that you get to do EDA. I don't remember the package names exactly. So you plug in the data and then you get to see a lot of visuals back, and it says it covers all your EDA part. And I've seen this a lot in Kaggle notebooks as well. So
Hmm.
any competition that you see and a lot of notebooks with high ratings in Kaggle have this lot of different visuals. But when you actually go through, they might have used any particular packages that automatically generate these visuals for them, and they don't apply it with any logic. So they just blindly give the data, and then it comes up with various uh, uh, charts, and then most of the charts doesn't have any meaning. So those kind of charts and libraries, in especially for EDA, are kind of overhyped, I feel.
Got you. Thanks a lot, Kadir. That
Yeah.
was very helpful.
Yeah, I
Go
think
on with
I
this.
had one more thought. I thought I will share it with you.
Yeah.
I found it was very useful to follow the notebooks in Kaggle.
Ah,
Even as a trainer or while you learn, I found it to be very helpful, especially to understand how people are optimizing the code when there is you have a very large data set. How do they handle it, and what kind of new models they are building, and how hybrid models are coming up. So a lot of competitions in Kaggle, when you go, there will be a lot of open notebooks under code section, any competition that you take. And I see a lot of interesting stuff over there. So I would suggest students or anyone who is learning to have a constant look at Kaggle notebooks, especially with the recent competitions.
perfect. Very helpful, Kadir. Thank you so
Okay, I'm
much.
not sure if it is helpful, but yeah, I think
No, no,
sure,
it certainly is. And with your permission, we'll be publishing it on a podcast.
sure, definitely. Yes.